I want to talk to you about Ukraine, which you just returned from. But before I do that, let's button up where we left the conversation with Senator Klobuchar. FBI Director Chris Wray was twice spoken about in public statements by the president yesterday, and he said he has some explaining to do. He seemed to be connecting it to the FBI and January 6th. Are you at all concerned by the former director's actions?
Well, I do think with this new information, there's going to have to be some explaining as to what is this new information and how does this relate to January 6th.
Specifically, the number of the agents, that 274?
Yes, this does seem to be significantly different than what anyone has heard before. And how does this relate to the circumstances of what occurred there? It's certainly, Kash Patel, as he's bringing this forward, this is going to be information that I think does relate. It really does go to everyone's confidence of what we currently know about that day. There's been a number of investigations and a number of people who've looked at this. Yeah. This certainly is concerning, and I think, it is
but what
better.
Part is concerning? Because that Inspector General report said months ago that there were several hundred FBI agents who responded after the Capitol Police asked them to be there.
But it's the issue of, what was their role? What did they do? That aspect, I think, certainly, as we look at this information, as the FBI looks at the information, is it the same? Is it the same information that has been looked at before, or is it different? And that certainly bears a review, and that, I think, will occur.
So when the president says Chris Wray has some explaining to do, how do you interpret that? Because the Inspector General report is public. Kash Patel said those individuals were there. It's not standard to send them, but it was disclosed they were there after
As the information comes
Capitol.
forward, obviously, the current FBI director and the FBI is going to have to come forward with the information. That information will be reviewed, and then ultimately, the FBI is going to have to, and I think that the prior director will have to explain how this information relates to what we've looked at before. And it's either going to be the same and prove that it is as everyone believed the circumstances were before, or it's going to be different. And at that point, we're going to have to look at how does it relate to what we believe we knew, and how does it relate to what we now see? But we don't know, because I have no information. I think no one else has any additional information besides what the news reports are. And we'll have to review what that information is.
But just to be very clear, because it is such a dangerous information environment in so many ways, you are not in any way suggesting that the FBI was secretly agitating, which is what the president said, the attack on January 6th.
I'm not suggesting anything, and I don't think you are either. I think what we're both suggesting is that this currently is in news reports, and those news reports certainly bear a review of the information that's going to come forward, and that information is either going to tell us that it's the same information that has been seen before, or it's going to be new information, and if it's new information, that's going to need to be reviewed.
We're going to take a break, and I want to talk about your trip to Ukraine and the other side of it, but I have to do this right now, so stay with us, all of you.